everything today is going to be done by call. And so it's going to be an individual call because we're supposed to play it apart. So when we vote on resolutions, everybody's going to vote individually. So we have the approval of the minutes up.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do the roll call, yeah.
Do the roll call. Jim Arthur. Earl Baker.
Here.
Kenny Barr.
Here.
Barbara Bennett.
Here.
Bruce Cannon.
Here.
Levon Cheney.
Here.
Brian Kaufman. Dennis Sternovich.
Here.
Jesse Durbin. Gary Gergany.
Here.
Richard Hayden.
Here.
Robert Jordan.
Here.
Kay Carney.
Here.
Larry Lenz.
Yes.
Terry Metzger.
Here.
Frank Mulholland. Bobby Orman.
Present.
Gary Patterson.
Here.
Robert Simpson.
Here.
David Switz.
Here.
Dale Weatherill.
Present.
Lynn Williams.
Here.
Okay, everybody's been presented with a package. It's got the minutes in it. I know that Erica or Jessica had made some amendments to them and some changes. Are there any other changes?
A little louder, please. I can't hear out here.
What were the changes made?
Get your mask and come closer.
You'll have to get a little closer. I'm sorry.
One of the changes that I made, Gary Patterson pointed out that in the first adjournment, I had the wrong date for the next meeting. And then I altered what I put regarding Kay's report regarding the March 27th FOP. They weren't actually meeting, the attorneys were just presenting their briefs. So I altered that a little bit.
Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes? I so move. Got one from Dale Weatherall, second by Hayden back there. Any discussion? If none, Jessica, call roll call vote.
Earl Baker?
Yes.
Kenny Barr?
Yes.
Barbara Bennett?
Yes.
Levon Cheney?
Yes.
Dennis Sternovich?
Yes.
Gary Gergany?
Yes.
Richard Hayden?
Yes.
Robert Jordan?
Yes.
Kay Carney?
Yes.
Larry Lenz?
Yes.
Terry Metzger?
Yes.
Bobby Orman?
Yes.
Gary Patterson?
Yes.
Robert Simpson?
Yes.
David Switz?
Yeah.
Dale Weatherill?
Yes.
Lynn Williams?
Yes.
Okay, approval of the minutes passes. Item number 4, Health EMA, Steve and Jared. You have the floor.
All right, good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. First thing, the most important, we have 3 confirmed cases in Shelby County. All 3 of those individuals are being isolated and quarantined, as well as their families in one individual's case. 2 of those individuals are together at a secondary residence in Springfield, and the other one is self-isolating here in Shelby County, along with their family. The main thing that we need to think about with this is them, their safety, their health, and their well-being. So our thoughts are with them as they recover from this disease. So currently, as of this morning, the health department has approved 34 tests. 3 of those tests have been positive, 29 have been negative, and we still have 2 pending. One of the individuals that tested positive needed some assistance for getting groceries to their home. Since the entire household is quarantined, they can't go out to get groceries. So I coordinated that with the Salvation Army locally here to get them food throughout their quarantine. The next thing is FEMA. FEMA money is going to be available for all of our response to this. Currently, right now, the county doesn't have a whole lot of expense going on with this, but we do have some. And we're hoping to get about 75% of that back due to the President's disaster declaration. I've been running point on public information, trying to get as much information that I can out to the public. I've been doing a daily public briefing every morning on my Facebook page, trying to be in the morning. Sometimes it sneaks into the afternoon, but for the most part, it's been in the morning. Trying to give them information like stay inside, stay home, don't go outside if it doesn't need to be. If you do go outside to go for a walk and enjoy the beautiful weather, do it, but maintain social distancing the entire time. Main thing that they can do is to try to avoid large groups of people. So think about that coming up with the May meeting. I think it's important that you start planning who's going to make the decision on what the board will do in May should this extend into there. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to expect that at this point. The social distancing measures that the state and the country are doing are helping, but it's going to take time. This is something that's going to take time to work its way out. There's no magic solution to this. There's no magic bullet. It's not just going to go away. This is something that's going to take some time to happen. Yes, sir.
Jared, with the quarantine, is that just on a merit system?
Let me answer that.
Yeah, go for it.
We worked with Judge A.D. Harlow, and we have a form that's from the judicial pandemic plan that we use. We send a copy. We verbally tell them over the phone. We write the order out, and we send it to them by mail. With them to return the signature back to us. That form, if they so choose to violate the isolation order, then we could just check it down in a box in the same form, and then I have 48 hours to, by full power, to quarantine them while we take the order to the judge, and the judge will approve it, and then based on the fact that they'd be infectious at that point.
Yeah, and another thing where these people needed groceries, that somebody went and got their groceries and brought them back. Is that right, or?
They just tested positive yesterday, and I think right now they haven't done that as of yet, but that's what they will do.
But it's great for this county that people are willing to.
Yeah.
Do Salvation Army.
This is Salvation Army.
Salvation
And they're
Army,
doing this.
that's fantastic.
Working with our food pantries.
Yeah, they're doing this throughout the state as well. One individual from the Salvation Army will go pick up the groceries for them, take it, put it on their front step, let them know that they're there, leave, and then the people can come out.
Well, God bless the Salvation Army.
Yeah, they're doing great work for you.
You did touch a little bit on SNS after you answer your
I
question.
will. Yeah, I've got it on my list.
I got a question. Now, you say these are tested positive now are back home with their families, but I got a reading where in some states, they gotta be separated from the rest of their family. There's your chance that the rest of the family will get it with them, or are they already positive too?
There is a chance that the rest of the family could contract it as well, but I think it's important to leave that up to the family unit themselves to make those decisions on whether or not they need to be isolated from their family or not. But they can self-isolate in the home and limit exposure to the rest of the family, because you can be asymptomatic for up to 2 weeks. So if you're living in the same home with somebody that is asymptomatic and later tests positive, you've been exposed for up to 2 weeks. So it's difficult to trace back exactly where one individual may have contracted the virus. And Steve and his folks at the health department are doing a fantastic job of working with the individuals to find out exactly where they've been and over the last 2 weeks, and as much as anybody can remember. I saw something on social media this week that made me think, if you get the virus and you have to then tell Steve and his people where you've been for the last 2 weeks, are you going to be proud of that? Have you gone only where you need to go the last 2 weeks? It's something to think about, that these social distancing measures aren't for fun. Nobody's enjoying this. This is for everyone's safety. It's not about me getting the virus. It's about everyone getting the virus. So we're trying to cut that down. And so far, it seems to be helping. May not be working 100%. We're still going to get cases. We're still going to have more cases. We're not expected to peak for another 5 days, 6 days.
I say we have a whole nother month to go through this, really, because pandemics traditionally last 3 months. We're about 1 month in, one more month of high numbers, and then another month coming off of it. That's what the hope is, and that's not longer than that, but that's traditionally what pandemics do. And also, a lot of these households have children, so they can't be separated from their parents and so forth and that too.
Kenny?
You said we got, what, 2 or 3 pending?
2 pending as of this morning.
How long does it take to get the test results back? And is that time shortening, or as we go along?
It is getting better. Steve, do you want to address that?
Yeah,
Before you have a little more?
there's two ways that tests are being done right now. Things are changing as we speak, though. Rapid tests are starting to be deployed. Right now, the tests run through mainly through the Illinois Department of Public Health. Typically, it takes 3 to 4 days to get the results, and then we have reference labs. Labs that are approved to do COVID-19 testing. Some of them are in California, like Quest. Those take a couple days to get the shipment out there to them. Takes a couple days to do the results. Our system is a good system, but it's not the best system in Illinois. The Public Health Department uses the Illinois National Disease Electronic Surveillance System, and basically it's on communicable disease reporting and laboratory results. So we work on results, basically negative or positive. Because they're positive, then we have to track them down. That's what we do in public health, to stop the spread of communicable diseases and that. COVID-19 is an immediately reportable communicable disease. It is immediate, meaning within 3 hours. It has to be reported by law from every laboratory into this system. And that's how we develop, identified clusters, by taking a look at that every morning, usually 2 or 3 times a day, to get those results and know what's going on in our community, and if we're starting to have any type of outbreak of communicable disease in clusters in different towns and that. That's it.
Steve, currently in Shelby County here, if I was to wake up with some of the symptoms, tightness in the chest, the cough, this and that, what would be my first action? Do I call my doctor?
Call your doctor by phone.
Hospital?
You call your doctor by phone. You don't go running into the doctor's office. You try not to run into the ER. This is an eminent health situation that we work with Jared, and all the departments have worked very good and compliment all the department heads in the sheriff's department and the judicial system and that to set up. We have through the hospital a respiratory center where they're taking anybody with respiratory symptoms and testing them through that. Now, the hospital is actually couriering some of these lab results now. We're starting to get them within 2 days. They're couriering them from Shelbyville to Carbondale to the IDPH lab. But testing's changed as of today. No longer are we being required to issue the 10-digit code to approve testing. Testing is being ramped up in the state, and the hospitals can go ahead and on their own, the physicians can order the test on their own to IDPH or through the reference labs at this point. So the situation is this, is that, okay, so you feel bad, you check your temperature, running a little fever, 99, 100, you're not breathing too bad, then you go to sleep at night, you wake up the next morning, you can't hardly breathe. It comes on you rapidly fast. And there's 2 strains to the COVID-19, basically the S strain and the L strain. The L strain is what you see people in ICUs that are intubated and on ventilators. That's basically, you think of this as L strain as being lethal, and hopefully we don't get that, or we have very few people get that. And then we have S strain, which is a lot more milder, and then people have more like flu-like symptoms. But we have to remember, compared to seasonal flu and that, this is 10 times more infectious than seasonal flu. And seasonal flu only lasts on a surface, a hand contact surface by an infected person 24 hours and it dies off. COVID-19 lasts up to 9 days on a surface. That's why it's invisible, and that's why you go into public areas that are not following disinfection and those kind of things, or not doing a good job of disinfection, or someone, because you can't disinfect after every person is sick, they go in, they touch something, and you touch right after them, and you don't think about it, you touch your face. And then you get it that way. As well as, sneezing, coughing, and then also now, the reason the masks are being considered is that CDC now says that when people speak, that you can transmit it to other people, and that's when they're being asymptomatic. So that's why they've stepped up the change of guidance. Now they know more about the virus. Remember, this is a new virus. Nobody has any antibodies for this virus. Everybody's susceptible. People with diabetes, people with hypertension are even more susceptible.
One more question.
So loss of smell and taste is another symptom. Keep that in mind.
With this being a new virus, respiratory, would you say it was in my favor last October when I got my flu shot, plus my pneumonia shot, or that doesn't enter into?
No, it absolutely plays into the equation. Basically, it talks about your immune system and how healthy it is. And if you get basically seasonal flu and it brings down your immune system, then you get exposed to someone with COVID-19, you can get it a lot easier at that point. And have more of a more aggressive case in that.
Okay.
Well, we're meeting here out on Lake Shelbyville. That means there will be boaters, fishermen, people walking, hiking, mushroom hunters. That means they're going to be coming to grocery stores, gas stations. I mean, especially this area, I think we need to take a little, or really take precautions because of that, because this is a tourist area.
Lynn, you're absolutely right. We have positive people that have walked through our grocery stores and have worked in our businesses or have patronized our businesses. We know that from contact tracing from other counties. It exists, it's out there. You just have to keep yourself away from it. That's your best tool.
Jared, I got notified yesterday from one of the private campgrounds down by me that they're being shut down now. Correct?
I can answer on that. And then also, Sheriff, you want to tell them what your observations, and then I'll jump in after that.
Okay. We've been keeping an eye on the campgrounds, and we've seen people coming from other areas. I stopped a couple. Some are coming from Peoria, some Springfield, one from Chicago. They are no longer at the campgrounds. The campgrounds are under something through
Illinois Department of Public Health basically licensed those campgrounds. And what's happened is that, to step back one of the things our office is doing, and our environmental health are not out inspecting restaurants right now because we don't want to contaminate any of the workers in the restaurants. We work on a complaint basis by phone. But what they are doing, they are taking hundreds of calls on essential business operations. We're getting 20, 30, 40 calls a day between two people on essential businesses. And that call got to us, and we contacted Bruce Hawkins, who's the regional engineer from Champaign IDPH. Jeff did, and said, hey, we got this going on. When we read essential business, it says that the only way that they could do that is that that's their permanent residence. And so Bruce Hawkins then called all the licensed campgrounds in Shelby County and the surrounding area and told them what the rules are, and then all of them have now apparently decided to follow the rules and no longer allow anybody unless they're a resident of that campground, licensed campground.
As of yesterday, we checked again, same people we checked in, and they're not there anymore. So all the playgrounds have been closed off to all the campgrounds. So we're kind of monitoring that, keeping Steve and informed of that, and things seem to be working out fine.
Okay, next thing I wanted to brief you guys on is resources and how we're getting resources and how we're getting those out to the people that need them on the front line. Currently I've received one shipment from IEMA regarding resources. I've been taking resource requests from locals, from local first responders, long-term care facilities, doctors' offices, that sort of thing. They're calling me, local EMS is another one. They're calling me, I'm putting in the resource request on their behalf to IEMA. IEMA is then shipping me those resources. I got a shipment on Sunday, N95 mask, gloves, hand sanitizer, and surgical masks. Now I'm working with the long-term care facilities, with the first responders to get them the resources that they need as they need them. I'm trying to do it as quickly and as fairly as possible. I'm trying not to give everyone everything that they may ask for. I'm trying to hold some back so that if they don't end up needing it, but somebody else does, I still have it available. So I'm working with them to try to get them those resources that they are needing. Currently, our hospital is in good shape with resources. They're not reporting it that they are short on anything that they need PPE wise. So that's good news. The other thing is I'm getting another shipment today So as soon as I'm done briefing you all, I'm got to scoot out of here so I can go meet IDOT to receive those items. It's going to be another shipment of N95 masks, surgical masks, and hand sanitizer. So I think hand sanitizer, I requested some, but I didn't request as much as they're sending me, but
We'll
take it.
winery starting to produce hand sanitizer.
yeah, one of our local wineries has decided to start producing hand sanitizer themselves and sell that to anybody that needs it. That'd be Valling, was it right? Yeah, Valling down in Stewartson area. The last thing I wanted to brief you all about was severe weather threat this evening. I have a conference call at noon for severe weather because nothing can ever be easy. We can't deal with one disaster at a time, we have to deal with multiple, it's just how it works. Right now, the main threats appear to be damaging winds and large hail. Time frame for that, sometime this evening, late afternoon this evening, sometime for us would be sometime between, I'm gonna guess, sometime between 4 and 7 p.m. This afternoon into the evening hours. So watch for local forecasts, watch for warnings, and take action if necessary. One question that we've gotten with the last round of severe weather was, what do we do? We're supposed to be sheltering in place, we're supposed to be practicing social distancing, but whenever there's a tornado threat, I go to my local church into their basement. So can I still do that? Absolutely. Take care of the immediate threat. If there's a tornado warning in your area, get shelter any way possible. If that means that you're rubbing elbows with your neighbor that you have been trying to avoid, get with them. Just take precautions. Wash your hands afterwards, wear a mask if it's available, that sort of thing. But take care of that immediate threat. That tornado is much more dangerous in that moment than any virus out there. So if you do need to shelter any way that you can, regardless of who you're going to be around. With that, that's all that I have to brief you guys with. Do you guys have any questions? Outstanding?
I just got a comment.
Sure.
I wanted to thank you and Shelby EMA, Steve and his group with the Shelby County Health, and all of the health care workers everywhere. I think you've done a wonderful job, and I think you need a round of applause.
Well, let's get all the make this all work, and all the employees too, so we definitely want to remember them.
Yeah, this has not been Steve and I running this show. We've worked very closely with every single department in the county. Everyone is working fantastically together. Everybody is giving their opinion. Nobody is just running the show. Everybody's working together, and I can't thank them enough. This is the first major disaster that we've had in Shelby County outside of some minor flooding here and there. And it's been awesome to see everybody come together to work together and everyone get along doing it. You know, so it's important in a disaster that everybody can work together. So thank you, Danny, for saying that.
And remember, poison ivy's out there, so be careful on that. I'll get you. I'll show you how to do some gardening, lawnwork.
Thank you, Steve and Jared. Next item is, we've got actually two items here, 5 and 6. Mark Rosillo from the FOP is here to discuss the FOP's fraternal order of police position on payroll schedule change. And then the item after that, Erica Farnhaven, a request of payroll change. So Mark Rosillo, the board of Shelby County and Public. You have the floor, Mark.
Thanks very much for letting me speak today. I do represent all the sheriff's employees, and there's 30 of them. And I understand this is kind of awkward because I'm carrying whatever I brought from Springfield here, so I appreciate it. I hope that your family and friends are all healthy, and the chairman requested that I be brief, so I'm going to be brief. When I learned I'd have the opportunity to speak with you, I wrote out a statement for all of the employees I represent. And I did this because they're essential employees, and it's not appropriate, and of course now it's not really legal or fair that they should come out here and risk their ability to make a living and provide safety and security. So I gave them the option to sign it, and all 30 of the employees have signed it. And I have copies of it here, and I didn't pass them out but I'm going to read it to you, so if you want a copy, you can certainly have it.
Danny, pass those around.
This is a letter concerning, regarding the resolution to change employees' salaries. Submitted by Shelby County Sheriff's Department employees and represented by the Fraternal Order Police Labor Council. It has been brought to our attention that the county board intends to update the salary schedule from current pay system to an arrears pay system by reducing employee salaries during the month of May 2020. It is also our understanding that employees will be forced to expend hard-earned benefit time to make up the shortfall. It is our considered opinion that this act would be a detriment to the economic well-being of the members of our union, creating undue hardship to us and the county economy as a whole. We're a group of first responders and support staff who are depending on hard-earned salary to see us through dire economic times as we are engaged in providing safety and security during the pandemic, the likes of which this county has never seen. While we agree the issue should be addressed and we're willing to work on the details of such a transition, we strongly suggest that the time to do it is after we return to normal operations and relative economic security. In addition, given that the parties await a final arbitration decision, the parties' collective bargaining agreement and its terms and conditions should remain status quo until the successor agreement has been signed as per Article 28, Section 28.2 of said agreement. And any violation of those terms would therefore constitute a unilateral decision on the county's part to alter said terms and conditions, which is a violation of the collective bargaining agreement and possibly an unfair labor practice under the Illinois Public Relations Act. Again, I gave people the opportunity to sign this. It was their option, and I made it very clear that it was their option, and yet all of them signed it. And I just want to point out a couple of other things. I mean, it's our understanding that the current practice of paying currently has been in position here for almost 200 years, right? Since the founding, unless somebody changes the middle. So while the union agrees that it's something to be corrected, and they're willing to pitch in, we think it'd be better if we waited until the smoke cleared from this pandemic and everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody in these times certainly shouldn't have to get shorted a week of pay or 2 weeks of pay or however you do it in the middle of May, because I mean, everybody needs to generate economic activity, and that's good for the county too. And we have 8 employees in the unit, that's almost a third, who have just started working there. And those people, they certainly haven't banked enough accrued benefit time to weather that kind of storm. So that's why we ask that you consider just taking our time and coming back and looking at this when we're all settled on the contract and we're looking at the end of this pandemic thing. So, again, we're willing to sit down and address this as appropriate with a gradual approach, as we've seen done in a lot of other places. And we're ready to talk about that, too. We think if we can wait just a little longer, it'd be great. And I want to thank you all again for letting me speak, and encourage you all to be safe.
So at this time, you are not in favor of the
No, we're not. And actually, nothing had been formally presented to us until recently. We never got a chance to meet it. And obviously, you can see that'd be a little weird right now. So.
I thought we were told at the last board meeting that everybody was in agreement with it. And they were looking at written statement saying so.
We heard that, yes.
Okay. So I didn't misunderstand.
But we didn't hear it from Mark.
No, we didn't hear
And
from
we didn't
Mark.
hear it from anybody on the negotiating team.
No.
But we did hear that, yes. Okay.
Who did we hear
Who did
from?
we hear that from?
We heard it from you, Eric.
No, I never said.
Yes, you did.
No, I
Yes,
did
you
not.
did.
No, I did not. I said I had not
That's-
spoken with the FOP because I thought the law enforcement committee was doing that. I never said I had agreement from FOP.
Okay.
I don't believe what I remember was from the last meeting. It was at sometime before we talked about this, and it might have been in a budget committee meeting when we met. But I remember asking, and I remember the statement that you did not think there were any objections from the unions from it. I think maybe at that time you had spoken to AFSCME, And I understood that you'd spoken to both, but I'm willing to give on that a little bit. But I do, in my recollection, we were told that both unions had been advised. And maybe I remember it wrong too, but that's what I remember.
So how would this be a detriment to the economic well-being of the members?
Well, because they would have to use benefit time to supplement the loss of pay, which according to the contract, their benefit time is supposed to be used at their option. And that's not exactly at their option.
To get the same pay that they would usually have, they would have to use a benefit time, a benefit somewhere.
Gail? So you're saying that we should pay people ahead of time before they do the work? Is that what I'm understanding? 'Cause that's what I thought this was all about, is why we're trying to change the pay schedule so they work and then they get paid. Okay.
I agree that it needs to be changed. I would not disagree with that at all. I would like to get it so it's not paid in arrears. But I think we have to use the right procedure to do that. And I thought we were, but I think we missed a step someplace along. So personally, I am thinking that it's time to wait till the next window, which I understand is in October. Is there a 5-week thing in that possibly we could have this set up and make it go within? I am definitely for it. I mean, I think it's a better business practice. And, you know, I think it's worth working toward. But I think we have to do the right steps to get there.
Mr. Chairman,
Earl?
what are we looking at? Loss of income. How do we figure loss of income and how much is that loss going to be?
There will not be a loss of income, and I think that language is a little bit misleading because the pay dates are just putting that 1 week, 6 days in arrears. There's no loss for that work, it's just pushing the paycheck back 6 days. We've got to stop using the word loss of pay. There is no loss of pay. That's misleading, and it's just flat out misleading. If we wait to do this, we're going to have to do it in November. I will tell you in November, we have to set up our payroll system, and I've said this before we start the calendar year. Because we have to do all of our reports for the state government, the federal government, IMRF, you name it. And so, and it's part of also the fraud, to not have a lot of fraud. We have to set up our payroll dates before January 1, what exactly our 26 payrolls are going to be, what taxes, what union dues, what health insurances are going to be taken out of each of those payrolls. I have set it up so the middle payroll in May, which typically on a 3 payroll month, we take everything out of the first 2 checks, union dues, health insurances, and such, and that 3rd paycheck only has taxes taken out. We set up the payroll system in May to where that middle payroll is not going to have any of the deductions, only taxes. And then that 3rd payroll that would again be a 2-week paycheck, still 6 weeks in arrears, or 6 days in arrears, but a full 2-week paycheck, that they would have the second health insurances, union dues taken out of. If we wait till May, it's not going to be that way. It's already set up. If we wait till we get a lawsuit from the public, which they can at this point, because this is about becoming compliant with the law. That's what this is about. There is no provision in the law to pay people for work that is not complete. And when payroll has to be in my office on a Monday, and it's guesswork as to who's going to be on their job and when the payroll doesn't technically end until Saturday at midnight, I can tell you I've looked through documentation and we have had people get paid, leave the county, and then how do we recoup that money? Is it my job as the payroll department? Is it the department head's job to go get that money back from that person? At that point, you've also reported taxes. How do you get those taxes? You have a whole bunch of stuff that is not taken into consideration. And really, if you make an overpayment on a payroll, which you can estimate and do an overpayment, but the only way to really get it back, the easiest way, is to take it out of the next payroll. But why are we putting ourselves in a position to constantly be making an adjustment to payroll, which in my opinion is not truly transparent or clear to the taxpayers? We should make our record keeping, our documentation as transparent and as clearly understood as possible for our constituents. It's only fair, it's only right, and again, it is the law.
In all fairness,
I think what muddied the water somewhat was that we said they could use benefits to help that. So then that makes you think, I must be losing something.
They
They're
have
going to let us do that. I mean, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out why it's such a big issue, because I agree with you.
I think, well, what I think doesn't matter. I have a resolution, and the AFSCME union had asked two things. If we could either allow employees to take a loan on future payrolls to make up that pay, or to cash out benefit time, which we don't normally allow by the union contracts. I can tell you it gets done department-wide, even though it's not in either one of the contracts. People are cashing out vacation time, not sick time, but vacation time. And then, you know, the FOP has more benefit time than anybody else because they're allowed to comp up to 420 or 480 hours. So, and yes, we have some newer employees, but they've got more available to them than any other employee. I can tell you this exact same thing was done, and I sent you all an email as soon as I got that documentation last week. I was only made aware a week ago that this was done in Christian County. Someone brought it to my attention. I called over. It's hard to get anyone over there right now, but I did finally speak with the treasurer, and we discussed, they did this in July to August of 2016. She said they had no qualms from either, I'm not sure, they don't have 4 unions, but because when she came in and realized that people were leaving and getting paid and you can't recoup, she said, I just said, this has got to change. And, you know, they made the change to become compliant legal with the law. I can tell you, again, there was a payroll change in the county in the early 70s, 73 maybe?
1970.
1970, the county went from a bi-monthly payroll to a bi-weekly payroll, and that's probably where this issue came in. It's not been 200 years, but it's been 50. So, it doesn't make it right. And I think, you know, the AFSCME union is fine with it. And again, I've not fought to have this done in a 2 payroll month. I have answered some questions in the public, people wanting to know why I'm not standing my ground changing it immediately when it's illegal and it's not compliant with the law. I've stood my ground in May to get to a 3 payroll month because they're getting more income in May than they are in January, February, March, June, July. So we've gone about this to make it as absolutely as easy. And I'll say again, I'm an elected official. I'm going to go with a 1-week paycheck in the middle of May. I'm a single mom. I'm going with a 1-week paycheck in the middle of May. This is affecting me as well. It's not something I'm doing that's only going to affect our employees. It's going to affect me as well. But right is right, and wrong is wrong, and the law is the law. I don't know how.
At the end of the month, they would get that money back, so they're not.
No, well, they're not getting it.
That's what I don't, that's what the confusion is.
You get it the first week of January the next year. That's the way every business in the United States works. You never get paid.
So they're not out the money that they are for that month's
It's
bills.
just 6 days.
That's the way this works.
Mr. Chairman,
Earl?
I'd like to ask Mark, the union rep, where do you feel your employers are losing money?
well, the contract is based on paying on the fiscal year, so September to August. So if someone's not getting a paycheck in May, and they're going to have to use their benefit time, then that paycheck, in fact, they really don't get until the following May. So it's a violation of the contract because it changes the amount of annual salary that the employees get in the course of that fiscal year. And that's stated in the contract. That's the first part of this.
But is there loss of funds is the question. You're saying that they're losing money, but we're hearing that it's not a loss of money. It's just that the movement of the pay period to follow the law. So what you're saying is that you're violating the law as much as the county is too.
No, I'm not saying that at all. And as a matter of fact, the Illinois Public Labor Relations Act says that the contract prevails against statute. And the contract is law in itself because it's signed by the parties. It's an agreement between the parties saying that they would pay X amount of salary. Saying also, by the way, that if people accrue benefit time, that benefit time is to be used at their option so that they save that money to buttress their cash flow in times like this, like a pandemic.
Could you get that statute to Jessica, and Jessica, then can you email it out to the board so we can understand where Mark's coming from when he's quoting the statute?
It's the Illinois Public Labor Relations Act, and it is section 15 where it says that the act takes precedence, and it's 15B, I believe. So if that helps. Another thing I'd like to point out, while we're on the subject of law, the resolution that you're about to vote on states that the FOP has agreed to make this transitional change in February, and I just want to say that until today, I haven't really spoken with or at Ms. Bernhaber on this issue, and I don't think anyone else in the department that I represent has spoken to either. So clearly, and let me just repeat that we think it's a valid concern, and it's something that has to be addressed, and we're willing to sit down and address it. We just think that now is a really bad time.
I don't think you got the amended resolution because I don't believe the language in there is that FOP is in. But I would have a question. If the contract's already been violated because people are working 4 10-hour shifts, 4 on, then 4 off, and the contract calls for 5 8-hour days, how come it's okay for that contract to be violated in some areas but not violated when we're becoming compliant with the payroll laws?
That payroll issue is an administrative issue. That has nothing to do with the contract.
But when we have documentation, and it's been publicly stated that we have overpaid employees based on that change.
The contract has no parameters, no control.
There's also no language in the contract that says when a payroll period can be. It does talk about schedules and such, and that salary, there's also a salary, but then there's an hourly rate that coincides with
But the salary is
that rate.
specifically stated to go from September 1st.
Well, as was stated back here, that paycheck that may come the very first week of January or go fiscal year, the first payroll in September, every so many years, the way the pay periods fall when you're paying every 2 weeks, you're going to have some years that you're going to have one extra payroll and you're going to be above your salary. Should we not allow the employees to have that paycheck if it's going to put them one pay period over that salary for that year, or do we let them have their money?
I don't think the contract addresses that specifically. But look, I'm not here to debate the mechanics of this with you today. All I want to point out is that we haven't agreed to the changes that you propose to make, and that you're making them at a point when there is no signed successor agreement. So in effect, you are unilaterally changing the conditions of a collective bargaining agreement that the county and these employers have agreed to here. Concerned with the law, that's also law.
We discussed this in the January meeting. It's not been a secret.
I just want to say that I received the ASME from Erica either late February or the 1st of March when I became the law enforcement chairman. And I didn't notify the union, but I did let Rob and Don both know that ASME had approved it, and I sent them the copies of that. And that's all I did. I don't even know who the union representatives are, so I did that part. And it looks to me like as far as the pay's being received a week late, but there's no shortage of pay on the annual pay. It just looks to me like by going to arrears, you're receiving the pay a week late. So a person is basically losing the interest on that money for a week, but they're not losing any pay, the way I look at the schedules.
Well, and I appreciate that, but I mean, it really doesn't resolve itself until after the fiscal year, and the salary is based on the fiscal year.
But then some years your salary goes over, you're admitted to that if it happens to roll into the next year.
But if people are having to tap their accrued benefit time, I mean.
I don't think anybody has to. I think it's an option.
Well, I mean, they're not getting, in effect, their full pay for that period.
They're receiving their full pay, but they're receiving it a week late. The way I read it,
They're
I
getting
don't
their
think
full
they're
pay, it's just
not
a week
receiving
late.
it, they're just receiving it a week late. I don't think anything is shorted that I see in that schedule.
Well, a week could make all the difference, and if they have to tap into their benefit time, then they're losing their option to save that and use it for emergencies.
Bobby?
So if you use your benefit time, or if you actually work pay period, what difference does it make? I mean, we're changing the pay schedule. We're not changing their utilization of their time. It seems like we're talking about two different things by and large.
Well, I mean, I would consider, the people that I represent would consider that's all the same. And again, you know, I mean, it really doesn't have to be done this way. It can be done incrementally. You mentioned Christian County. The Christian County AFSCME employees did an agreement that was basically targeted to the various people and their various needs. Yeah, some people paid up right away, and they got hit right away. Other people had up to a year to make up that shortfall. And so, I mean, there's a whole lot of ways to do this. And I can tell you that the chief deputy over in Christian County, because I represent those employees too, he worked at a separate deal with them. They didn't sign the same contract that the AFSCME employees did. He wanted to take special consideration for them because they're first responders. And their life's just a little bit different, especially in these times.
Gary?
So the law enforcement union is asking us to continue to violate the law for 6 more months.
We're asking you to wait until the pandemic blows over, and we'll sit down and talk about this.
I understand the pandemic. I don't see where that really has that much to do with the law enforcement contract. I know it's been used for a lot of things, but I think that's a stretch.
No, I mean,
but you're asking us to violate the law for 6 more months, and I see no gain for a law enforcement officer.
I guess I'm asking you not to violate another law over the next 6 months.
What law? Can you cite that, please?
It would be a better way to put it.
What law is that?
The Illinois Public Labor Relations Act.
Can you give a citation?
I just did.
What citation of the Public Relations Act?
It's Article 15.
This is a board meeting right now. We don't need any public comment. You'll have your time later.
Yeah, look, I guess I've made my case here. You people have a vote to make. And depending on how you vote, that will be how the union will react.
Dale, do you have something to add? I call for the question. Okay. We have well, we don't even have a motion. Well, we don't even have a motion to call for the question yet. So, but I think we've had enough discussion on this matter. Erica, you're up next. You've got a motion to put on the table. You want to make your presentation?
I would ask the board to approve this resolution. It wasn't amended. I think it went out to everybody, the second copy. You should have a copy of that resolution, basically allowing us to change the payroll to 6 days in arrears for the county in May on that middle payroll.
Do I have a motion? I so move. Dale, I have a motion. I have a second from Gary Patterson. Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Do we have any discussion? No discussion?
Who wrote this up?
I don't know who wrote this up.
Is it something you wrote, or is it something you copied from a law thing, or?
Can't understand her question either.
She wants to write the resolution.
That information where.
A lot of it was what came out of Christian County. I obviously don't have legal representation. I've sent this to Gina, and I have gotten no response. So I did have an attorney friend of mine look it over because I can't get a response from my county representation. I have had an attorney look over it who said it was okay, but most of it I took straight out of the resolution that Christian County did.
Are we gonna get a lawsuit from the union if we pass this?
We did receive an email from Gina saying she didn't see a problem.
She, after I submitted it, she did send out an email. That went to the full board, I think, didn't it?
Yeah, we got an email in the last week from Gina.
Yeah, that she didn't see a problem with it. I'd forgotten. Thank you, Gary.
So is our lawsuit gonna come from the union then, since we're violating the contract?
Get one for violating the law. If you're gonna get a lawsuit, it's gonna come from the union, if you're gonna get one, yes.
What attorney did you acquire?
I'm not going to divulge that information because I didn't pay for the service. It's a friend of mine, and I have that option to do that. I'm not going to divulge that information. I'm sorry. I did not pay for that service. I do have people who are very concerned about the position I am in at this county. I have several friends that are attorneys, and right now I'm trying to cover my rear end because I feel like a sitting duck. And I will tell you, and we can say we might get a lawsuit from the union. If we don't do this, we very well could get a lawsuit from a taxpayer who can sue us. And I sent you that documentation in that email as well.
Okay,
So,
I called for the question again. Okay. Okay, so we have a call for the question. We have a motion in the first.
No, a yea is with.
A yea is to accept the Erica's resolution. A nay is to not accept it. Okay? Does everybody understand that? Yea, you accept the resolution. We withhold 1 week of pay or transition 1 week of pay. Nay is we continue and we will transition at a later date. The transition's going to happen. It's a matter of how it happens and when it happens. I don't think anybody's in any agreement that it doesn't need to happen. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Erica, do you want to do a roll call vote?
Mr. Chairman, I want to clarify something first.
Earl, the question's been called. I think we've talked about it enough. Let's just vote. Let's just get this voted out. Okay.
Earl Baker,
I vote yes, not violating the law.
Kenny Barr,
No.
Barbara Bennett,
Yes, for sure.
I'll vote if there's a tie.
Levon Cheney,
Yes.
Dennis Turnovich,
No.
Gary Gergany,
Yes.
Richard Hayden,
No.
Robert Jordan,
No.
Kay Carney,
No.
Larry Lenz,
Yes.
Terry Metzger,
No.
Bobby Orman,
Yes.
Gary Patterson,
Yes.
Robert Simpson,
No.
David Switz,
Yes.
Darren Weatherell,
Yes.
Lynn Williams,
No.
Okay, it is 9 yes, 8 no's. Motion carried.
Okay, item number 7, county highway engineer. Do we have that
Bruce, I have
resolution?
one part of that too, and I don't know that it was a part. I was kind of under the impression it was two separate things. But I also have the memorandum of agreement from the AFSCME union that the board would
Okay,
need
the
to
the
approve.
matter has passed, Erica. Let's not worry about it anymore. Let's
Yeah,
go
this
on.
isn't about that amendment, Bruce. Can I speak for a sec? Because we also need to approve the AFSCME union amendment so that they can cash out benefit time.
Okay,
It's not
okay.
Part of that.
Sorry.
Is it on our agenda?
Yes.
Do you need a motion?
We need a motion to approve the ASME contract to
I so
allow.
move.
Second?
I have a motion by Dale and a second by Earl. Those in favor say, or any discussion?
I'm confused
Yeah.
on this motion.
If this passes, would both unions still be able to cash in the benefits or just the AFSCME?
I believe it is stated in the actual resolution that we have that any employee can. That's why I took out the FOP language. But what this does is puts in place the memorandum of agreement that AFSCME is saying this is a one-time benefit allowance. It allows it to happen once, that employees can not again cash out sick time, especially since we don't typically allow the sick time. So it's just, AFSCME submitted that. It's a one-time agreement.
And also non-union, not just.
Non-union employees as well.
Yes.
All employees.
Shouldn't that be worked out in the contractual?
Table that,
Yes.
table that next meeting.
No, you're gonna have.
It's a part of this agreement, we need to agree to it.
It's part of this agreement. It was sent out to us earlier.
And we discussed it, that I would have it, and I was waiting for it in writing at the last meeting, and it's a part of this.
And
But
she's
you couldn't
got
do it until it was passed.
Well, and I was waiting for the actual physical copy of it.
I think we need to act on the AFSCME amendment. So I have a motion.
We don't have no paperwork on it.
I have a motion from Gary.
Yeah, it's in there.
Do we have any
It's
paperwork?
in your packet.
It's not in your packet.
That's not that.
One in my packet.
Not in my packet.
That's the first I said right there.
It's in my packet.
Yeah, I didn't have it in my packet.
Yeah, it wasn't in our packet, well, I had it. Well, I'm not voting for it. I get something told here in front of you right now, you know, I don't know. We're at the railroad or through.
Well, I'm indifferent on the matter. Do you, I didn't get a copy, but I've seen a copy of it. But I didn't get one in my board pack. I don't think you've already resolved to withhold 1 week of pay. If we follow up with this a month later, I don't think.
Well, if we do that, we will need to pass that now. What are you gonna pass it for?
Dale,
Chairman, it is written in the agenda right here.
I see it, I see it.
Okay,
We don't have the agreement, a copy of it, is the question. So, if you want to make, you know, guys, I don't care. You want to resolve to do this or not?
Well, we got a motion and a second. Hold on.
I mean, we really need to accept what they've given us.
Who is giving it?
Who is what?
Who is giving it?
Ask me.
So that's a proposal from the union?
I don't know, I don't have the damn thing. I'm sorry.
Memorandum of agreement.
I don't know.
Motion to table.
Yeah, I think we need to, we have a motion. We have a motion to table, do we have a second?
Earl seconded it.
Point of order.
We already have a motion on the floor. We can't have two motions.
I just don't have it.
Motion to accept this, the first motion.
We got to vote on it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept it. Let's do a vote on that.
Read the motion, please.
The motion was to approve the amendment for AFSCME to cash in a one-time benefit.
So yes, you need to
All
vote.
right, then I'll make a motion to table.
Not
Let's just vote it on that, you can. Let me just read this agreement. This memorandum of agreements between Shelby County, a body of politics, and the Shelby County Co-Employers, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Union, Council 31, AFL-CIO, on behalf of and within our local 3323, with the understanding that the employer plans to adjust the payroll periods to provide more time between the end of each payroll period and the day the paychecks are issued. The parties agree to the following. In consideration of the potential financial impact on employees due to the transition of payroll periods, the parties agree that the employer will allow employees who represent it to cash in accrued benefit time in order to make up for wages up to a maximum number of days that will not be paid on the May 15th paycheck. 3 days for highway and 5 days for others. This is ASME. Employees shall be allowed to receive up to, but not more than 2 full weeks of pay on the May 15th paycheck. The parties understand this agreement only pertains to this one-time event, and therefore employees shall be able to cash in benefit time only to supplement their May 15th, 2020 paycheck. This agreement is made without precedent for the union and the employer.
So that just says ASME, right?
Yes.
Nothing about FOP or anything.
No, it's strictly ASME. And our resolution that we just passed only cites ASME.
Resolution that we just passed, that will be.
No, the resolution we passed affected everybody,
Yeah.
including FOP. This one is a motion to accept this statement memorandum of agreement, which is attached to the ASME union contract.
But if it passes, we're giving those benefits to everyone.
We're giving them to everyone anyway. This is just so we have documentation that the union's agreeing it's a one-time deal. No matter what, they're all gonna have that option.
So basically, ASME will not have any problems. Mark Rusillo and the FOP may.
Let's vote.
ASME does. So let's have a vote.
Earl Baker.
Yes.
Kenny Barr.
No.
Barbara Bennett. Levon Cheney.
Yes.
Dennis Durbich.
No.
Gary Gergany.
Yes.
Richard Hayden.
Yes.
Robert Jordan.
Yes.
Kay Carney.
Yes.
Larry Lenz. Terry Metzger.
Yes.
Robert Orman.
Yes.
Gary Patterson.
Yes.
Robert Simpson.
Yes.
David Switz.
Yes.
Dale Weatherell.
Yes.
Lynn Williams.
Yes.
That motion carried.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, that motion carried.
Did you give a yes and no? How many voted yes, how many voted no?
There were 2 nay votes.
2 nay? Okay.
Okay, item number 7. Alan Spencer is not here today. He chose to stay away. He only has one resolution. We had a bid request on a bid open and bids received for the Clarksburg Township Railroad Crossing. Klein Excavating won the bid. They were the low bidder at $89,729.68. I need a motion to approve that railroad crossing. I have it from Lynn. I have a second from Larry Lenz. Any question on this railroad crossing?
Klein.
Pardon?
Klein. Contractor.
Klein. Yeah, Klein is the contractor. Klein Excavating. Any questions? If none, let's take a roll call vote.
Earl Baker.
Yes.
Kenny Barr.
Yes.
Barbara Bennett. Levon Cheney.
Yes.
Dennis Durbich.
Yes.
Gary Gergany.
Yes.
Richard Hayden.
Yes.
Robert Jordan.
Yes.
Kay Carney.
Yes.
Larry Lenz. Terry Metzger.
Yes.
Robert Orman.
Yes.
Gary Patterson.
Yes.
Robert Simpson.
Yes.
David Switz.
Yes.
Dale Weatherell.
Yes.
Lynn Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay, that's all we've got from the Highway Department. Item number 8, Bobby Orman, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, the 24 hours is too worried.
So this conversation is to establish the precedents expected of county representatives by the board. So we'll start this out with, I move to put a cease and desist on the utilization of any outside attorneys by a representative, any representative of the county. Have a second.
What was your motion again? To the cease and desist?
I move to put a cease and desist on the utilization of any outside attorney by any representative of the county.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I made the motion.
Well, you now second it, then.
I think you boys was getting your course as attorney, Terry.
Sorry.
One time, we had to have an attorney to come on a certain plan because Gina had already done work with these people and she could not do work with this.
Okay.
Now, I was gonna say that we gotta hire somebody every time, but I was gonna say there may be a time that the state's attorney cannot handle the situation.
Right, so in her statute, it fully authorizes her to do that.
But you want to work for the people you work against the people you work for.
There again, she has the opportunity and the authority to do that.
This motion does not say Gina cannot hire someone.
Right.
Okay.
What I'm saying is,
Say then.
by any representative of the county.
Well, wouldn't that count Gina?
Yes.
Say any representative?
Well, she's got to put them on the
It's
table.
the outside utilization. It's the outside utilization.
So your motion is no outside utilization, and we're in the middle of arbitration, and you want to dump the lawyer we have now?
This is from here forward. What I'm getting at
There'll be more
is,
from here forward, arbitration.
We're still in it. Yeah. Can't be from here forward. You can't lose an attorney in the middle of an arbitration.
Yeah, you can.
no new,
Well, she needs
no
to hire
new
them
relationships.
legally. Needs to
So
hire them
let-
legally, not just,
Let me go into this a little bit. There's no statute pointing to any indication that there is the ability for a board member, the treasurer,
Yeah, we understand that.
clerk, to hire an attorney
We understand.
to represent the county. That's what I'm putting forth is, if there's no ability for those people to acquire an attorney. So I'm trying to make it known to everybody with this motion until we can get legal clarity, which would come through the state's attorney's office. No, just don't do it.
So, if I'm understanding what you're saying now, you're saying it would be no new, we would continue for what we've already, the work already done, and for the work that we need done to settle this contract.
Doesn't desist mean stop now?
That's what I'm unclear.
That's what it means. Desist would mean stop now.
Stop now.
What about the money we already owe?
it's illegal.
So it's illegal for
She's
one.
hired illegally.
Well,
We're not paying our employees
You
legally.
pay it, but it's all.
We've talked about
We
this.
hired him in good faith.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
So,
We hired because we had an incompetent other attorney that was dealt with the county. So we had to get someone that actually knew how to do contracts and how to negotiate.
so here, let me throw this out there. Currently, there's legislators trying to pass this very practice. And it's right now on committee level, and they're still waiting on a meeting. I checked on it last night. House Bill 4854, subsection, or Section 1, 6003, legal representation for the board. A chairperson of the board may appoint, with the advice and consent of the county board, an outside attorney to serve as legal counsel of the board. The chairperson may choose the state's attorney as legal counsel. So that right there indicates that whatever we're doing right now is wrong and illegal and needs to stop. Furthermore, if we're going to bring up the bills, let's just talk about that briefly. I made mention last month in public comment that we had bills from his law office for a labor attorney. Then we had two other bills from other people that were in his office, but on good faith, where did they come from? And furthermore, in the 2014-15 resolution, it was passed at $150 an hour, and effectively, beginning of the year, he gave himself a $30 or $40 an hour raise. Now, to to be an attorney used by the county, if it's not the state's attorney or the assistant state's attorney, it can be a special state's attorney. But those are all set forth by the board. Their salaries, duration, I mean, all that stuff is set by the board. There's nothing set by the board since 2015 to even use an outside attorney.
Okay, I have a question. So you're saying, and I believe you too, Earl, that the county hired them in good faith. You're saying don't pay them?
No, what it's saying is
No, I'm asking
she
that.
should have hired them legally under the
Okay, but
Attorney General.
that means they're gonna come down and not get paid, right?
The way that was illegally, yes. They should have hired him as an assistant state's attorney, and then you'd have
So,
been legal.
are you wanting to put language where they could get paid for that?
So here again, either we get sued or we get sued. But we need to stop the practice from here on out. I mean, this is enough. I mean, I've had people call me and their exact words were, I'm seeing a raise on my tax bills and I'm seeing in the news that we've got millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent illegally or wrongfully or this, that, or the other. What gives? You know, so people are extremely concerned, and it's not. So I'm not just standing up here for the fun and sake of it. I've had people contact me. I mean, quite frankly, I think it's because, with the exception of the bond, I don't get the paper, but you know, I'm sure she was highlighted on the front page or somewhere in the paper, possibly. You know, as the newest member of the board. Well, people see our faces, and they're like, I know that person. So guess what? I get some phone calls over it. Dale.
If I understand this right, Gina is our state's attorney, is allowed to get a deputy or special attorney to help out on matters that she needs. So,
But it gets employed through.
Earl, please,
Okay.
wait your turn.
Okay.
We just have to approve money to go to her budget to pay for this. Am I getting this right then?
Yes.
You're making sense.
So I don't see the
Yes.
problem that we've got. We stop and then we give her the money to do the other stuff.
Right.
Is that legal?
I'm not a legal counsel, but of everything I've read in her statute, there is legal ways of procuring the counsel. Okay, let me dig this up again. I've got it right here.
Wouldn't he'd be employed by the county, not on a personal note.
That would be employed by Gina.
Well, the county. Gina, her payroll's county.
So in her statute, ILCS 50. So in ILCS 55, 9006, Section 3, it's internal operations and simultaneous county board, which that's the title of the statute. But under Section A, it says internal operations of the office. The state attorney shall control the internal operations of his or her office and procure the necessary equipment, materials, and services to perform the duties of the office. I have some questions about that. I mean, I'd like to know what internal operations is defined at. You know, is that somebody to work on the copier in internal operations? Or is that somebody to aid with advising? You know, I need a little clarity for myself on that, but so there's ways. But anytime you look up special attorney in her statute, it by and large, the majority of the time only talks about civil and criminal cases. It doesn't refer to matters of the county board. Now, there's another part of the statute that talks about the special interest. But what I'm getting at is we are currently in violation of law. And let me remind you that this is a Dillon's rule state. Therefore, if it's not stated that you can do it in law, you can't do it. That's one of those things that I always forget about when reading statute. And like I said before, this is a 2014-15 resolution that sunsetted 5 years ago. Now, the big question is why did the resolution sunset, and then we're still going and with the same practice over and over? With no rules, no regulations, it's wide open. It's wide open to whatever the attorney wants to charge. It's wide open to however many hours the attorney wants to put into it. Correct me if I'm wrong, this labor negotiation has been going on for 2 years. To me, that's a cash cow. With nobody to say, wait a minute, the dollar spent here is just ridiculous. I mean, you got 2 years in a labor negotiation?
You try dealing with unions.
It's not fair to go back and judge something that you don't have all the information on.
This is true, but as a taxpayer, and the taxpayers ask me the
You
question,
think we haven't tried to
I'm
settle
asking
this
you the
thing?
question.
Do you think we haven't tried to settle this thing? Everybody's trying to get it settled, but then you have to go into arbitration because you've got a union there that won't settle. So what are you supposed to do? We've had the outside attorneys, this Jack Newell we used to have. It was a joke. We lost money. This guy has saved us money.
I don't dispute that he might be the best labor negotiation attorney out there. This is not a question about his integrity as an attorney. This is a question about our integrity of how we went about hiring and how we go about establishing his compensation, the rules that we go by. I mean, Jessica and Erica, they don't give themselves a raise at the end of the year. Yes, David.
I call for the vote.
So the vote is to put a cease and desist on outside attorneys by any representative of the county.
Okay. We have a first and a second. Jessica, call for the vote.
Now, what would, for that,
The vote would be yea to accept Bobby's cease and desist order, or nay to continue to look for a reason to make it legal.
Cease and desist starts today.
That's what I heard.
So then he would not get paid for what he's already done. And we would not have representation in arbitration.
He hasn't been paid right now, and as I understand it, we pulled that bill and the board is questionable on it, so.
Well, we approved all the bills last month.
They've been approved, but they
We
got
have
pulled.
that, we'll have to pull that one.
David,
We call for the vote, vote.
we have a call for the vote. Let's go ahead and.
She does have a good
Baker?
question. Does voting yes mean
voting
he
yes.
can finish his job?
No.
Cease and desist.
He does
So
finish the
no
job?
would be the end of it, period, Bobby. That's what you're saying.
Okay, Jessica.
Jessica,
No.
No, yes would be.
Yes, yes, we
the end
did.
of it. And, thank you.
From doing that way.
Okay, Earl Baker,
yes.
Kenny Barr,
No.
Barbara Bennett,
No.
Levon Cheney,
No.
Dennis Turnovich,
No.
Gary Gergany,
Yes.
Richard Hayden,
No.
Robert Jordan,
No.
Kay Carney,
No.
Larry Lenz,
No.
Terry Metzger,
No.
Bobby Orman,
Yes.
Gary Patterson,
No.
Robert Simpson,
No.
David Switz,
No.
Dale Weatherell,
Yes.
Lynn Williams.
No.
That motion failed.
Okay.
What was the count?
It was 4 nays. Or four yeses. 4 yeses, yeah.
Okay. Item number 9 is approval of claims. The committees have met, they presented claims. Do we have a motion to approve the claims for the month of March?
I have a question. If we vote to pay the claims, why does the treasurer pull them out and say no, she won't pay it?
I think she's waiting on,
I sent an email to both Bruce and Gina, and I did that because Jessica and I did a search of the records of the county board. I find absolutely no county board action passed August 31st of 2015 to appropriate any money toward a labor relations attorney. So Jessica and I did a search of the records of the county board, found nothing. I sent that to Gina. I asked her to do her own search to see if there's been board action that I've missed, we've missed, and let me know. And if that's not there and this bill can legally be paid, to please provide with me, the state statute that says that I can legally pay that bill. Because with my statute says, upon order of the county board and search of the records of the county board. If there's not a checks and balances in government, we have no government. If I can't look at things and look and see that there's been board action to make the payment of this bill legal, then I don't have to pay it.
There was board action. Last month we voted, the purchasing committee voted to pay that bill. The roll call vote, I believe it was roll call, to pay that bill. So that we decided to vote it, the board did. Now, you cannot sign that. You can sign that under protest, which clears you.
Wrong.
But at least
I've asked Gina to give me clarification. I sent that email, I sent the email to Gina on March 12th, and I asked for her guidance, and this is April 8th, and I got nothing.
To pay for this.
And it's in the budget.
And it
We have
was
line item
within the budget.
Yes.
And that's the reason why we made that motion to approve it. You know, and it, to me, if you approve something and then they come back 5 years later, I mean, hey.
I got a question. Where is the state's attorney today to answer some of these questions? Here we go again. No
Yeah, I'm trying to do the right job, or right thing here, but.
Okay, so as I understand it, the bill was approved to be paid at the last cycle.
Yes, it was.
At this cycle, Bobby just presented a motion to cease and desist. That motion failed. Okay, so we have an issue here in that we've got to get our labor relations attorney legal. However that is, there's got to be some board action. Either nay, we're not going to have our labor relations attorney, or yay, we're going to in the future. David?
I think you need to have your state's attorney fix it, not the board.
I will. Right now, they're not here. We voted to pay that bill as a board for last month. Erica, I think you need to pay that bill. As the board, whether it's legal, illegal, it needs to be paid. Now, we need to, as a board, make a decision to get ourselves legal on this. We need to do that, and it's not going to happen today. Gina's not here. Gina, I think that David Switz and Gary Patterson have been to see Gina in the last month, and they're expecting something. Is that not correct, you two?
That is correct.
Okay. We need to push her to get that.
I sent an email again this week.
Okay. We need that. So, we'll get that resolved. I think that bill needs to be paid. We have approval of the claims for this month's bill. Do I have a motion to pay those? Barb, do I have a second? Second. LaVon, is there any discussion on this? Bobby?
You did say that the Ed Flynn bills were pulled, correct? The Ed Flynn bills were pulled?
No, Ed Flynn will be paid if the board approves this.
I thought the purchasing minutes said from your meeting yesterday to approve, you reviewed all of the bills, but you excluded the $12,000 bill from him. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, then that bill's excluded for until next month's.
And that is correct. And then we have also, we had MyTech Solution that we did not approve on that, and there's something that I need to bring to the board regarding, I was going to do it on comments, but we're giving them over $40,000 a year. I'm thinking that this needs to be bid out, and then you have to have 3 different bidders, is that correct?
That's a
Am I
professional.
wrong with this?
That's
or-
a professional service, and you don't have to bid professional service.
For 40,000, or 48, whatever it is, it's immaterial,
I
but
don't
it's
think,
still.
I agree. I think he's a by hours, and it depends on what gets thrown at him this year. I think those bills change from year to year, is that not correct?
We've been under contract with him for some time for managed services for $40,000 a year, and he breaks the bill up by how many pieces of equipment you have in your
Yeah,
office for managed
I
services.
understand that. What my question was, is, what, did that have to go under bid or not?
No.
And it does not. Okay, well, you know, I guess I'm wrong, but I thought it did. You know, and it's not, I have anything against my tech or anything. I think they do fantastic work. It was just the idea that I thought they had to be under a certain contract, and that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Had to be bid.
Bruce? The comment that we pulled that bill of 12,000 some odd dollars. For this month, we pulled it because we wanted a ruling from Gina, like what the little note said was attached to it. But last month, we voted in purchasing to pay an 8,000 some odd dollar bill, and then the board approved that to pay it last month, and that's what's been denied. So shouldn't we still send the bill, the 8,000 and some odd dollar bill? Shouldn't we pay it? Because it was board approved.
That's what I said, yes. The $12,000 bill is not approved yet.
Right.
And so it'll have to wait till next month.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion for the bills, is that right?
A motion and a second.
Terry, okay, motion and a second. Any more questions?
Read the motion, please.
It's just to pay the
Just
claim.
to pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills. That's the main reason we're here today.
Right.
Keep this county going. Okay.
Earl Baker.
No.
Kenny Barr.
Yeah.
Barbara Bennett.
Yes.
Levon Cheney.
Yes.
Dennis Drnovich.
Yes.
Gary Gergany.
No.
Richard Hayden.
Yes.
Robert Jordan.
Yes.
Kay Carney.
Yes.
Larry Lenz.
Yes.
Terry Metzger.
Yes.
Bobby Orban.
No.
Gary Patterson.
Yes.
Robert Simpson.
Yes.
David Switz.
Yes.
Dale Weatherell.
Yes?
Lynn Williams.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Motion carries. It's time for public body comment. Any public body comment? Gary?
May I have a quick statement here? I voted no because I'm on the purchasing committee. For a year, this issue has been hanging over us. Do we pay it, don't we pay it? We've discussed it. Are we gonna keep kicking this down the road? For how long? We need to get the legality answered in whatever way it takes to do it.
I agree. And unfortunately, that might wait until we have a new state's attorney.
We're trying.
But we need to get with state, we need to get with someone and
I don't
get an answer, and getting answered out of state, I know is
Okay.
a lot of fun.
Public body? Kurt?
Thank you, Chairman. I know some of you probably don't want to hear it, but I heard a couple things that was said. Unfortunately, the one board member that said it has left. You want to do the right thing. I believe all of you want to do the right thing. And unfortunately, you're not getting the advice that you need. I understand that. But the answer is in front of you. The answer is in the statute. There is no provision for the county board to do what you're doing with this lawyer. There's two ramifications that are of a concern. Well, if we don't pay him, we get sued. Well, if we do pay him, we'll get sued. Well, if you don't pay him and you get sued, you're going to end up having to pay him if he wins. But the inverse is a false claim, and it's treble damages if that comes from the citizenry. That should be your bigger concern. The other issue of we paid him, or we hired him to do the work, we should pay him since he's done it. That's an interesting question because township officials of Illinois and myself as a former supervisor dealt with this very issue. Excuse me? The issue was we had an assessor that they wanted me to cut a $5,000 check to. And I said, where's the resolution that that was ever adopted as his pay? And the lawyer says, well, he did the work, you have to pay him. Well, that's not true. Because in the government sector, it's the vendor that has an obligation to make sure that it's a legal transaction. And if he does it and it's not legal, it's on him, it's not on the taxpayer. And that's case law. That's solid case law. And township officials said there's no resolution. If you pay him, our township could be sued for treble damages for paying out that check. And we chose not to pay. And when it was all said and done, everybody realized, once they did their homework, the law is crystal clear, just nobody's reading it. And I know feelings will get hurt when you don't pay someone that does the work, but you're being taken advantage of. What happened 15 years ago should have never happened, and whoever let it happen should be held accountable. But you gotta stop doing it. And when you make a statement, well, we're gonna pay it whether it's right or wrong, that's a headline cover. That's front page, the top of the fold. You're gonna pay it whether it's right or wrong? That's crazy. Read the statutes. That's all I got. No, ma'am, I'm not. I'm here for public comment because you keep breaking the law.
Okay. Do we have any other public comment? Dale? Go ahead, let's get you out of there, wherever you are.
Okay, I'm Paul Schmitz. I live out 5 miles west of town, mile quarter north. I went to township meeting Monday night, and I was recommended to come here to the county board meeting today. Our issue is that back in 2013, they removed the bridge and replaced it with 3 large pipes, culverts, and it's not carrying the water flow, and it's causing a lot of damage to property and the road, and putting sand and gravel out on the road now, which is a safety issue. So I don't know exactly where to go with this, but this is where I was told to go next. So who do I need to talk to about this issue?
I think I've talked to Alan yesterday, he called me. It really starts with your township. It's township bridge, it's on township road. And they need to, if they want it redone, they've got to come back to Alan and start the process in the road departments.
Well, I talked to Jim Asbury Monday night at his meeting, and they told me that it goes to Alan. He's the county highway commissioner, and he's the one that approves these projects.
Well, he does, but the Asbury has to make the request.
Well, somebody must have made a comment to somebody, because somebody showed up yesterday to look at those pipes.
Well, Alan's aware of it. It might have been him, I don't know.
Well, I know when they put in a bridge, you got federal money, you got state money, you got county, and you got county. So, I mean, that's...
Well, right now, it was a county and township deal. Pipes are county and township. Bridges are federal and state.
Okay, well, they were, at one time, they were gonna put in a bridge, and whoever made the decision put pipes in, and it is not working.
And I understand the option may have been to not have a bridge for a few years.
We were already that way. They condemned it and would let school buses cross it.
I don't have an answer for your problem right now.
So where do I go?
I would start with your township road commissioner, because it's township road.
He referred me here.
Yeah. I don't want to see you get the runaround. Could you talk to me and Gary
Yes.
as soon as the meeting's over?
Yes, that was my
And
next
we'll
question.
start doing stuff on that. Okay?
Dale?
It seemed like we had the perfect answer, or maybe as perfect as I see, is we would have accepted Bobby's motion to cease and desist, and then get Gina to hire Mr. Flynn or whoever we needed to do these things here, and then get them paid through her office. I don't know why you guys voted against that, to not do it properly. It's like you still want to break the law, but yet you want to do the right thing, and I don't understand, how you can be doing the right thing when you're breaking the law.
I would like to add, because I am refusing to pay it, if you look at those invoices closely, a lot of that stuff that has been billed to the county is outside the scope of the labor relations. And that's another issue that I have, plus 2 other people being paid through those invoices besides just Mr. Flynn.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I just wanted to ask 2 things. If anybody had any further questions about the Illinois separation referendum that I've spoken about before, if so, I'd be happy to take them. If not, I just want to ask that a board resolution to put that referendum on this year's ballot be placed on your May agenda.
I think that's the plan, is it not? Okay.
That
Any
is
further
the
question?
plan for, I've asked it for 2 different board meetings,
Gary?
but it is going to be on there.
I was just gonna say, the only reason I voted no on that motion was because it didn't include a part that said Gina could work the deal out. When it said all county employees, I thought we were taking Gina out of the equation. That's the only reason I voted no.
Sounded to me like we were taking.
And I asked for it to be clarified, and I still felt that way, so that's the only reason I voted no.
Exactly, we weren't sure exactly how we were voting.
Okay. Any further comment? Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Terry Metzger, second by Larry Lenz. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.